Hi guys! Welcome back to another video. My name is Marcelina. I'm a 15-year-old author, and my newest release, The Blood That Divides Us, actually just released a couple of weeks ago. In case you don't know, it is a YA murder mystery thriller romance inspired by A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, Binding 13, and One of Us is Lying. It includes things like academic rivals to lovers, a true crime podcast, lots of twists and turns and betrayals to keep you up until 3 a.m. as well as some deeper topics, some trauma healing, so please check trigger warnings, and of course we have to have a who did this to you scene and a touch her and die scene, of course. So if all that sounds like your cup of tea, please consider checking it out. It is available as a paperback on Barnes & Noble and Amazon, as well as an ebook on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited. So, with all that being said, let's get into the topic of today's video. As you can probably tell, I'm filming in my walk-in closet, my very messy walk-in closet yet again. If you saw my last sit-down long-form video, which was the Q&A I did for release day, I was also filming in this place. So hopefully it's quiet, but if you hear any background noise, please ignore it. But getting back to the topic of the video, since release was 2 weeks ago, I've actually gotten a lot of requests, and I've seen other authors do this, other indie authors on YouTube do this idea. So I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I kind of did a, like, how did my book's release go? With stats, explaining my process, some of my marketing tactics, what I did, if it was worth it, if it paid off and converted to sales, etc., etc. Because I do know a lot of my viewers are either writers, they're either aspiring authors, they're maybe like in the process of getting their book published, or that's a dream that they have. So this is kind of more geared toward them. This is more the analytical side of how I did it, some of my marketing tips, and just like overall, I'll be sharing some numbers at the end, so stay tuned for that. But overall, how it went. But also, if you readers who maybe you're not even into writing or publishing, but this sounds like a fascinating topic for you, hopefully you enjoy. I do have my list here. I'm holding this because, yeah, in case you guys don't know, if you weren't around, this is the proof copy of the book. That's why it has this annoying strip across the cover. I'm actually getting like the actual copies that are the normal ones that don't have this, because I got this a few months ago before it was even out. So now that it's out, my official copies have shipped, but they're taking forever. So hopefully I'll get them by Monday, just in 3 days from when I'm filming this. So I'll do an unboxing and stuff then, but for now we're working with this. So anyway, I have a list here of all the topics I want to cover. So we're going to go through marketing tips in general with my YouTube channel, which is, there's some backstory there. The cover reveal and pre-order process, arcs, quote teasers, and finally release stats and numbers. So I'm just going to reference this and then work my way through the list. So first and foremost, let's talk about YouTube marketing for a second. If you guys didn't know, I started posting promo content about this book all the way back in July of last year, 2024. And you may be thinking, well, weren't you, like, you hadn't even written the book yet. You'd be right. I hadn't even written the book yet. I was still in the outlining, brainstorming stage. But here's the thing. Prior to even coming up with the concept for this and deciding like, hey, I want to publish this book, it was always kind of an aspiration I had. So I had been following a lot of author tubers on the platform. I'd been following a lot of indie authors and just kind of like following their content and seeing what they were posting just for my own curiosity and interest. And so this one author, she does this all the time, way before she even writes a book, before she even like starts typing a word in a draft. She starts vlogging, she starts telling viewers, she has like over 30,000 subscribers on YouTube, so she starts telling everybody about it. She goes through and she vlogs like the outlining process and everything, and I followed her the whole way through, and it made me buy her book because it was a very comforting feeling to know that I was there since the beginning. And then I've kind of just seen it grow. I've heard her talk about her struggles And then when it's finally out, I'm like, well, now I want to buy the book, obviously. And so I was reading comments on this particular person's, and pretty much everybody said the same thing. Pretty much everyone in that comment section was like, oh my gosh, like, I've been around since the beginning. I've been around since you were first outlining or first writing. I just ordered my copy. Like, I really want to support you. Like, this book sounds really cool, but I want to support you more. Like, that kind of thing. And so it made me realize that as an author / writer, one of the most valuable things you can do is talk about your book before it comes out. I feel like, especially for young teen authors like me, as well as self-published indie authors, I feel like social media is very, very, very important. And I feel like it's very important to market and start posting videos / making content prior to the release. Because if you do that, if you start all the way back when you've outlined, or when you're still writing the book, when you're still just a couple drafts in, or maybe even on your first draft, and you consistently post, even if it's not like vlogs, even if it's just like just talking about, like, giving stats, being like, hey guys, like, I finished writing the book, it's at 60,000 words or something like that. Like, you just make a little post on your Instagram or something. That really, really intrigues people, and that makes people stay. And I remember when I was posting writing vlogs, when I was writing the first draft of The Blood That Divides Us back in August and September, well, July, a little bit of July, and then mainly August and September, I gained so many followers because one of my videos blew up. And it was like, it was just when I'd started developing the characters, so I had aesthetics, so I made a video about their aesthetics, and it like blew up. And I got so many people that were like, oh my gosh, when is this coming out? Okay, I know it's not out yet, but I'm adding it to my TBR, like, I'm so excited. I gained so many followers from that. And so a lot of those people who actually commented on that initial video back in like August, that I just posted just because I was like, I just finished outlining the characters. I think I was just like dipping my toes into writing the first draft. Some of those people have stuck around my channel, stuck around the last 6 months, and have told me, have DM'd me or messaged me and told me that they bought a copy or that they've already read it and they've loved it. So like, even though that was like back in August, if you can get people interested at any point in the process, especially early on, not necessarily, oh, my book's out now, you can buy it, but if you start all the way back when you're writing and you're outlining and like all the way back, people, you'd be surprised how many people are actually more invested in you as an author and your writing journey than the book itself. I feel like I can name some people, some of the OGs who have reached out to me who thought my book sounded interesting, but they honestly bought it more for me because some of them have been following me, like I said, since I was writing the first draft and vlogging it and posting about it and posting updates about it every day back in August. So people grow with you as a person and as a writer, and you know, when you're constantly doing those things, it attracts people that will stick with you through your whole journey. I would say that's something I am so thankful I did. It was something that was hard to me because I have a problem with starting books and then never finishing them because I get bored or I lose motivation. So I was very hesitant about posting videos, you know, talking about these characters, talking about the plot, I literally threw out the release date back in August. And I was like, Marcelina, is this a good idea? Because you have a tendency to start projects and then never finish them halfway through. So it feels like a really bad idea to be marketing it to the world and getting people to add a book that you haven't even finished yet to their TBR when there's a high probability you're never going to finish it. So that was a concern. However, I did finish it and I did push through, and I feel like a lot of the motivation came from those people who were like, I know this isn't out yet, but I'm adding it to my TBR, but this is my most anticipated read of the year, like that kind of thing. That really actually made me finish it. Made me like there are hundreds of people who are waiting on me. I can't let them down. Like, I have to live up to their expectations. Like, I have to do this. So it was motivation. But anyway, I am so thankful and blessed that I had that opportunity, that, you know, some of my earlier videos did blow up. I think my most viral video on my channel at the moment is, it was like a character lyric thing, and I'm trying to remember. I remember I posted it around homecoming for me, because it was like, I remember that specifically. I was like getting ready and I was posting it. So I believe it was around sometime in September. It has almost 10,000 views. That video, at that point, I think had just finished writing the first draft and was taking a break in between writing and editing. And like that brought in so many people, and I was like, oh my gosh, like it's putting pressure on me, but it really, really, really brought in a lot of people, who, some of which are still around today. So honestly, that was probably the biggest marketing tip that I can give y'all, is if you are able to be on social media and post content, whether it's on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, wherever, but I feel like if you're able to post content prior to your release, like as far in advance as possible, that is the best, and it's the most beneficial. And trust me, it feels weird because you're like, why am I marketing a book that I haven't even written yet, or that I haven't finished writing yet? Like, this is weird. Trust me, your future self will thank you, because it really, really, really helps with bringing in sales. So that was very successful, to be honest. Like, that was probably one of my most successful marketing tactics that I did this go around for this release, was just having a social media presence the entire time, and then posting consistently too. Posting consistently and just posting ahead of time to like get people hyped. Like 10 out of 10 marketing strategy. Like, trust me, it gets people invested, and then invested people become readers and they want to buy it. So it's a win-win. Now, kind of on a similar note, I want to talk about pre-orders and cover reveal. So pretty sure you guys all know what pre-orders are, but basically, as an indie author, you can set your book on pre-order as far in advance as you'd like. I think Barnes & Noble lets you go 6 months in advance, and Amazon is like a year or something. So especially if you are someone who has been posting prior to release and you're getting that hype in, having a pre-order that you could set up to link to your book, so that when you're making these videos and maybe some of them are blowing up and you have all these people being like, is it out yet? So instead of just saying like, no, I'm still writing it, then you could be like, not yet, it'll come out. Either you have a specific date, you're like, oh, it'll come out in the fall or in the winter, but you can pre-order it now. That gives people somewhere to go, so that when you're making all these videos and maybe they're blowing up and they're going viral, people have somewhere to go, and they're not just like, oh cool, this is a book concept. But like, the sooner you can set up your pre-order, the better. On both Barnes & Noble and Amazon, you do not need to have your final story, your final manuscript, nor your final cover in order to set up a pre-order. I think for both of them, at least when I'm filming this, you can just set up like, either for the cover file, you do have to do something, so you could just do like a dummy file, like a placeholder, if you don't have your actual one yet. And then for the manuscript, on both platforms, there's a button that's like, I'm not ready to upload yet. And then as long as you upload within, I believe, a 3-day window of your release date that you set, then you don't need your final story. So for example, I set up the pre-orders for The Blow That Divides Us on both Amazon and Barnes & Noble roughly around mid-October, but I didn't set it live until November 1st. So I set it up then just because I was really busy and didn't want to forget, but it didn't technically go live, and I didn't start telling people that there was a pre-order and giving people a pre-order link until November 1st, which is a little less than 3 months away from my actual release, because my actual release was January 25th. So that gave people a good amount of time, especially because I was posting very consistently around those months, November to January. So a lot of those people, I could just direct them and be like, oh, it's not out yet, but here's a pre-order link. And I did get quite a few pre-orders. Unfortunately on Amazon, you can't pre-order paperback. So if you were wondering why I didn't have a pre-order paperback link for Amazon, it's because Amazon does not allow that. They literally, it's a feature they don't have. I'm like, how? It's, I don't know why. It's crazy that out of everything, you cannot pre-order paperbacks, but okay. So you can just do ebooks, and then Barnes & Noble allows you to do paperback pre-order, so that's what I did. And then going along with that, like I said, cover reveals are super, super, super important. So cover reveals are just kind of a like standard thing in the publishing industry. It's usually made a very special day, and it's like when you post on social media and reveal your book's cover for the first time. And so most authors do this right around pre-order day, so like right around the day that their pre-orders go live. That's when they do the cover reveal, or maybe like slightly after. That way, because usually the cover reveal brings in a lot of sales. Other than release is the #1 sales period. Like literally cover reveal day is such a big day for sales. And so you do want to have your pre-order open, so most authors do it around the time that they have their pre-order. So I decided to do everything on November 1st. Pre-orders opened on November 1st, and my cover reveal was on November 1st. You know, just for strategical reasons, because I knew it was going to bring in hype, so that then I could be like, here's the book's cover, if this has you hyped. And then I did a blurb reveal a few days prior, so I was like, if all this has you really, really excited, you can now pre-order it. So it was a win-win, it was perfect. But I recruited some help. So basically, I reached out, so I was like scouring accounts. My process for who I reached out to was very random, I will say. There were like some people that made book edits, some like teen young writers like me, where I really related to their content, and they were like, you know, similar age as me, and they were working on their own books. Like it just kind of varied, but I gathered a group of like 10 or so people in like the teen writer booktuber space, and I reached out to them. I privately messaged them, and it felt so weird because I was like trying to pitch it. I was like, hi, so my name is Marcelina. I'm a self-published author. My book, The Book That Divides Us, is going to come out in a couple months. And the cover reveal is actually on November 1st. So cover reveal day is actually one of the most important days for sales. So I was wondering if you'd be willing to do me a big favor and perhaps post about the cover reveal on cover reveal day on November 1st. I could either provide you some pre-made graphics and videos that I've prepared, or you could make your own. Like, that would be a big help. If, you know, you'd be interested, please let me know. It felt so weird because it was like, honestly, I did not think anyone was going to agree, because I was like, I'm basically asking them to help promote my book, and I'm not giving them anything in exchange. Like, it just felt very, very weird. I felt very weird doing it, and I was like, I'm just gonna try, because if people agree, and mind you, most of these accounts that I were reaching out to had like over 1,000 subscribers, so they were like, which is more than I have and had at the time. So I was like, either way, it's good exposure. Either way, like, marketing is marketing. Any other person other than me that could talk about my book, especially on cover reveal day, especially for pre-orders, and then reach their own circle, their own audience, it's perfect. It could get me new people, and I'm all about that. So I was willing to try. And to my surprise, I got a really good amount of people who, you know, got back to me and were like, oh my gosh, of course, like, I'd love to support a young teen author. Like, just send me the info and I'll be sure to have it ready. And mind you, this was like beginning or mid-October that I decided to reach out to these people. I wanted to give them a couple weeks in advance because I'd already made all of the graphics and the videos. So if they opted for me to send them a pre-made one, I already had that. But if they were going to make their own, I wanted to give them time to do that. So anyway, I reached out to them a couple weeks before cover reveal day actually happened. And I got a really good amount of people who agreed. Surprisingly, I mean, thankfully, but surprisingly. And so I had a spreadsheet, and I was trying to keep up with it because people were emailing me and messaging me at different times. So I was like trying to keep up with my spreadsheet while at school. It was chaotic, but amazing. And so it was about half and half, people who decided to make their own versus mine. And then cover reveal day came, and oh my gosh, it went so well. Like, I was very happy and pleased by the results, because pretty much everybody, like the majority of my cover reveal team, had posted. The majority of them had posted, and their posts, their videos were amazing. Whether they did mine or made their own, it was lovely. I was actually really happy because, you know, like those on YouTube, those like book talk compilation videos that people put together. So there was this pretty well-known person. I believe he has over 5,000 subscribers. I'll put his YouTube account on the screen because some of you guys might know him. But yeah, he pretty much makes booktuber content, and I reached out to him because he's, you know, fairly big and he makes pretty popular content. Like, all his videos do pretty well, and so I was like, there's no way he's getting back to me. But he literally was so sweet and really supportive and really helped me out. He actually included my video in a couple different compilations around that time period, so that was very exciting, because like I've never thought I would be included in a book talk compilation with like other things, and it was sprinkled in there. So that got me a lot of free marketing and promo in and of itself, just because I shot him an email just pitching my book and asking him if he wanted to be a part of the cover reveal. So that definitely paid off. And then just like the videos people were making were so sweet. One of the videos that one of my lovely cover reveal team members posted got like over 5,000 views, and it got a lot of people who were like from her target audience that I couldn't reach with my own audience. So like new people that were like, oh my gosh, this sounds so great, or I'm so excited, I can't wait. And so it was just overall a really rewarding experience, because for just taking a little bit of time out of my day to like shoot them a DM and reach out to them in the first place, as well as taking a little bit of time to prep the pre-made graphics and or video if they opted to do that option, that gave me such a big turnout, because in the end there were like so many different people who had their own accounts and their own followers who were completely new. Hardly any of the followers overlapped with mine, so they were all new people who were hearing about it, and it was just like perfect. So that was a strategy that was new to me. I did not know how it was gonna go. I was like scared, because I was like, I'm literally like, most of the time, that's actually my next point, so I'm gonna get to that in a second, but like with ARCs, you reach out to them and it's like an equal exchange. But I was like, I'm not really giving any of these people, except for one person, which we'll talk about her in a second, but I'm like, I'm not really giving any of these people something in exchange. I'm basically just asking them to like post my video or post their own video promoting the cover of my book and promoting the pre-order. I gave them the pre-order links, promoting the pre-order of my book just because I want them to. I was like, yeah, it felt very awkward. But again, everyone was so sweet and so kind, and yeah, it literally just reminded me that there's still some very genuine, kind people out in the world who just want to help other people just out of the kindness of their own heart. So anyway, November 1st overall, very successful, very fun. I woke up early. I was like, I saw the pre-order numbers coming in. I saw some of the videos that were posted already. It was actually wild, and it was so fun and amazing to see. So that really boosted my motivation for release, my excitement for release, all of it. I got all the feels. November 1st overall was a really good day, especially for sales. It did end up being a very good day for sales for me, so I'm happy. So highly recommend that. Anyway, as we were just talking about, as I just mentioned, let's chat about ARCs for a second. So this is gonna be a long one. Buckle in, because I have a lot to say on this. So in case you guys don't know, ARC stands for Advanced Reader Copy, or some people say Advanced Review Copy. It could be either or. I've heard like both of them. Essentially what it is authors do this prior to release. So they send out free copies of their book to readers, and in exchange, those readers leave an honest review on platforms like Goodreads, Amazon, their own social media accounts, etc. And the reason you do this is because reviews help out authors so much. I've had so many people who have said that they've bought my book just because they read another review, like a positive review about it. Versus, like, I knew someone back in middle school, I think, who had also self-published a book, but she didn't do any ARCs or anything, so when it released, it had no reviews. So it was harder, she told me, it was harder to convince people to buy it, because it was like, there was like 0 reviews, and on Goodreads it had like a 0.0 average rating, because there was no ratings, no reviews yet. So it didn't kind of get that boost ahead of time, if that makes sense. So just having reviews prior to release is actually very detrimental to the release itself. Like, it sounds weird, but trust me, it's a thing in the industry. Like, I don't know why. I mean, I'm a reader myself. I do read reviews. Sometimes I like to go into books blind, but other times, especially if it's a paperback of a book and it's a lot of money, I will read reviews because I want to know what I'm getting into and if it's something I'm probably going to like or not. And so if you see a book with no reviews, like, that just kind of immediately turns you away, if that makes sense. So ARCs are designed to help you get reviews before release. And hopefully, if your ARC readers like your book, they will naturally, without you having to tell them, they will naturally tell their friends, tell other people online. If they're like a YouTuber or a content creator, they might post about your book in their like monthly reading wrap up, which will immediately get you more promo. So either way, ARCs are just another marketing tactic, essentially. That's what this whole video is. It's just a bunch of marketing strategies and tactics and everything that I built into my release to make it the most successful, which, spoiler, it was. Like, trust me, my release was very successful. So all of these things really did work. And I know it's a very individual experience, so what works for me may not work for you, and that is okay. But I'm just kind of sharing some of my marketing tips and the things that I found helpful and explaining a little bit about them. So back onto ARCs, I knew from the get-go I wanted to have a large ARC team. I was like, we are going big with this release. Like, it's go big or go home. I'm not doing anything else. I want this release to go out with a bang. And so I want to have a large ARC team. I want to send out as many ARCs as possible and hopefully get the most promo and the most, with ARCs, you also get a boost in pre-orders, which I sent out ARCs about 3 weeks after my pre-orders had opened. It was the end of November when I ended up sending out ARCs. So hopefully that would get a boost in pre-orders with their reviews starting to come in, and then if they posted about the book elsewhere, which it did. And then people adding it to their TBR on Goodreads and like all of that. So I was like, I want to do a really large ARC team. I also told myself that I wanted to have a mix. So I wanted to have an ARC team on Goodreads, and I wanted to have a ARC team on YouTube. So what I mean by that is I divided it about half and half. Okay, it was supposed to be like half and half. It ended up being like mostly dominant on the Goodreads side. But when I was initially emailing people and reaching out to people, I reached out to a good 50-50 of each. So I went on Goodreads and I had a lot of like book friends, or I friended a lot of people who seemed like this book would be right up their alley. Like, they're kind of into like the mysteries, murder mystery, romances kind of thing. Or if any of the comp titles of this book were their favorite, such as A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, One of Us is Lying, or Binding 13, or even something similar like the Natural series, for example, I don't use it as a comp title, but there are just certain elements that are similar. So if I came across any person who seemed to like those books or a combination of those books, I would check out their profile. If they had like really good reviews and if they reviewed a lot, I would friend request them. And then, because on Goodreads you can't message someone unless they're your friend, depending on their settings, but most people you can't DM them until they friend you. And so once they accepted my friend request, I was like mass messaging a bunch of people. And I thought I was gonna get reported for spam because I was like mass messaging. I was copy and pasting because it was the same like pitch email that I sent out to everybody. But it was basically like me pitching my book, and like because I had the official blurb at that point. So I sent them a blurb and I basically told them like, I noticed, and I would customize it to them. So I'd be like, I noticed that your favorite series is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, or I noticed you really like the Binding 13, like the Boys of Tom and Binding 13 series. Would you be interested in being an ARC reader for mine, which is similar? And then I'd give them a blurb, and then I'd tell them the trigger warnings, because I think, you know, prefacing that and sharing those trigger warnings, very, very important. Always. Not gonna gatekeep. And then I would let them know, like, please feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Otherwise, if you're interested, please let me know as soon as possible. And so I did that to about, I want to say like 50 people on Goodreads. Closer to 60 though. It was more as the time went on. And then I reached out to a solid 65 booktubers. So literally, I started this back in July. I started a spreadsheet back in July of all of the potential booktubers that I wanted to reach out to. I was like, I want this one, and this one, and this one, this one, and this one. And I collected their emails in a spreadsheet. So then one day, or maybe it was 2 days, I went through and I mass emailed all of them. And so I think I ended up getting, out of those 65 people, I think, and like, for booktubers specifically, not Goodreads, but booktubers specifically, out of those 65 people, I think I ended up getting 15 to 20 responses. Out of those 15 to 20, I only sent it to about 10 booktubers. And out of those 10 booktubers, only about, I'm trying to remember, it was less than 10 that actually ended up posting and reviewing the book. I'll put all their accounts on the screen. These are the only people who actually ended up posting and reviewing about the book. So thank you to them. So definitely interesting, because why did I get ghosted? Like, I get it's not everyone's cup of tea, but like, you just, if you're sending ARCs to people, if you're reaching out to people for ARCs, please just be prepared. Most of them will ghost you. Most of them won't even, I did have a couple people actually get back to me and be very kind about it, and have common courtesy and just get back to me and be like, sorry, like, this sounds absolutely amazing, and I definitely wish you the best, but this isn't really my cup of tea genre. Or a couple people were like, oh my gosh, like, I'm definitely gonna buy it when it comes out, however, I'm currently swamped with ARCs, so I'm afraid I can't take on any more, but best of luck. Like, you'll get a few of those, but in general, a lot of people just ghost you. So be prepared for that. Be prepared to, like, not hear back from 70% of who you reach out to. But I did have a solid group of booktubers who agreed to an ARC and were very grateful, very appreciative, which made me even more happy to give it to them. And then I do have to shout out Emily real quick. Lovely Emily. I talked about her in my Q&A. She was actually one of the people. I met her initially back, like, way back in the day. I remember she changed her username, and so I don't even know if the OG video is still up. But I remember, because I remember her old username and her old account, that there was a video, she had an edit, and I commented on it, and I commented something about how that whatever character it was similar to a character in my book. And this was when I was still outlining and writing, so it was way back in like July or August. And she was like, oh, that sounds so cool. And so I remember a few months later in October, I came back to her account. She'd like revamped it and stuff, and I found another one of her videos, and I found her Pinterest, and I messaged her through there, and I was like, hey, I think we've been talked before, but would you be interested in being a part of my cover reveal? And so she was very sweet and very excited for me and excited to have the opportunity, and she immediately agreed, but she would like requested that she get an ARC, which I was like, oh my gosh, I was actually just about to ask if she wanted an ARC, so this is perfect. So I put her on my list, and I knew she was an automatic because she had great communication, and I knew she posted like literally the morning of cover reveal. It was when I just woke up. I saw her video. She just posted it, and so I knew she was great with commitment. I knew she was actually gonna stick to her word and review it as she was supposed to. So I had full confidence. I was super excited. So I knew she was an automatic. I added her to the list with booktubers. She makes book edits, but I added her with the list of booktubers because I was trying to, like, on my spreadsheet, I had, like, so many different spreadsheets. I was trying to divide, like, content creators and then people on Goodreads, which is, like, a whole different category. If you're on Goodreads, you know. I love Goodreads. I love the people on Goodreads, but sometimes the people on Goodreads are very opinionated with their reviews, and it's just a thing. So I was like, I need a whole separate spreadsheet for them. It's a whole separate thing. But anyway, I ended up reaching out to so many people on Goodreads. Initially it was like 50 or 60, but then over the course of December, I reached out to like 50 more. I reached out to over 100 people on Goodreads in the whole time frame. Like, it was intense. But it just kind of became a habit, like, because I would, like, one night I would spend 3 hours going through accounts and mass friend requesting people, and then over the course of the next couple days, all of those people, let's say a friend requested like 30 people, over the next couple days, all of those people would slowly start to accept my request. So then I'd, like, catch up to it, and then I'd go down my list and be like, okay, she just accepted it, let me just message her, let me ask if she wants to be an ARC reader. It's a very tedious process, and you gotta be careful because you could be reported as spam, and if your messages on Goodreads get flagged as spam so many times, your account could get banned. So just be careful with that. But I got so many responses. The tricky part was, though, I will say, challenges with ARCs, specifically on Goodreads. Booktubers, the main challenge was that most of them ghosted me, which, not mad at them, not holding a grudge at them. Like, I'm sure a lot of people just don't check their email, or like they just, I don't know, like it's fine. But I'm just saying, that was, like, if we're talking about challenges with ARCs, that was the main one for booktubers. For Goodreads people, oh my goodness. Okay, so the thing with ARCs is that there are different ways to send ARCs, but for me, I always send my ARCs as a PDF, because technically you could send physical copies, but that gets expensive, and I knew I wanted at least 50 to 60 ARC readers, like, total on my team. Like, I wanted at least 60 people who received the book. If I were to have shipped out 60 paperback copies, and a lot of my ARC readers do not live in the US where I live, do you know how expensive that would have been? I don't have money for that. I really am. I had money for, like, maybe sending out, like, 2 paperback copies. But I wasn't just gonna do that. I needed it to be consistent. So I was like, you know what? We're just gonna do a PDF. So I had to send everybody a PDF. And then if they had a Kindle, there's a way to, like, I sent them an EPUB file too, but, like, there's a way to send it to your Kindle if people wanted to do that, or you could just read the PDF, like, straight off your phone or your computer. But in order for me to send the PDF, I have to have your email. So when I was reaching out to booktubers, it was easy, because if they said yes, we were messaging and we were communicating through email already. So if they said yes, all I had to do was send them the file and then send them my little spiel about, like, I thanked them, and then I, like, kind of went over some of my expectations, like some deadlines and stuff like that, like crucial stuff for ARCs. And so that was that. However, on Goodreads, we're messaging through Goodreads. So because of that, you can't, Goodreads lately has gotten really strict about, like, when you're messaging, sending links that are outside of the Goodreads website, and you can't attach anything. Like, it's not like certain platforms where you could, like, attach pictures or attach PDFs. Like, you can't. So the only way for me to send the PDFs to those Goodreads people is to ask for their email. And so the main challenge I had with them is that I reached out to over 100 people on Goodreads. I got so many responses. Like, out of those 100, I probably got at least 70 people who got back to me and were like, yes, of course, like, absolutely, this sounds amazing, I'd be honored to have an ARC, what's the next step? But then as soon as I would reach out to them and be like, great, thank you so much, I cannot wait for you to read it and I hope you enjoy, can I please have your email so that I can send you the PDF? I would never hear back from them again. Which, in all fairness, I understand as a teenager myself, like, that does sound kind of sus if people are just like the whole ARC scam, that could be a scam, you know, if they're asking for your email. A lot of people I were reaching out to were younger because that's the target audience. This book is YA, so it's aimed more toward like 14, 15, 16, 17. So I was like, that's kind of the target audience that I wanted to reach for with my ARC readers. So a lot of them were teenagers. So I was like, yeah, I did get ghosted by most of those people. And I'm not mad because I know, I agree, like, it could come off as a little bit sketchy. And, you know, some people aren't comfortable with sharing their email, and that's fine. So that did limit my pool. So that was probably the main hurdle I faced. It was unfortunate because there were so many people who have like gorgeous aesthetic reviews that agreed that, like, oh my gosh, if they posted a review of my book, I would have died. Like, the reviews are so, you know, some reviews, especially on Goodreads, they're just so aesthetic and so pretty, and they like divide it by like the character and then they share quotes, and it's just like gorgeous. There are some people like that who were in my target audience and they agreed, but they just got kind of stuck up on the email part. So I was like, oh, like, it's fine, but like, you know what I mean? It was unfortunate. But everything was fine in the end. I ended up sending out way more ARCs than I intended to because I reached out to like so many people on so many different days across like 2 months. So the arrangement of people and of ARCs I sent out, like the whole ratio was kind of getting crazy at one point, but it was worth it. Like, it all worked out. There were still so many people who did agree to give me their email and did give me their email, and I sent it to them and they gave me confirmation that they received it, and it was all good. So I'm not gonna be like, oh, you know, everybody ghosted me. Like, I still got a lot of ARC reviews and a lot of ARC readers on my team overall. So overall, it was a successful experience. It just wasn't the smoothest experience, if that makes sense. So definitely, if you're gonna do ARCs for your own book, just know it was one of the most challenging parts of this whole entire process. Like, if we're talking about like everything, outlining, writing, editing, formatting, marketing, everything, ARCs is probably the hardest, if not one of the hardest, if not the hardest stages. Just because there are so many things that go into it. I was really selective with who I reached out to, checking their accounts, you know, checking the reviews. Do they even post reviews? There were some people who like were my target audience exactly, like they literally loved the books that are most similar to this. So I was like, they are definitely gonna love this. But like, they're the type of people who like never post reviews. They just do ratings, like star ratings. So I was like, the whole point, like, star ratings are good too, but like the whole point is to write an actual review that you can post everywhere. So that did kind of, unfortunately, cut them out. So you just have to be very selective. It's a very, very, very time-consuming process. And then sending the individual PDF with the whole customized email, like, to go along with it. Like, it's a process. Overall, ARCs is I think it's worth it. But you gotta really consider if it's worth it for you. If you don't have that kind of time, if you don't have that kind of patience to, like, go through everything, maybe it's not worth it for you. Maybe it's not the right marketing strategy for you and for your journey prior to releasing your own book. ARCs are not for everyone, especially as an indie author where we have to do everything ourselves. They can be stressful. Now, there is a platform for ARCs specifically. It's called NetGalley. Well, there's several, but NetGalley is the most well-known one. And that's where most people typically get their ARCs. Now, as an indie author, you can put your book on there, but from my understanding, it's kind of complicated and you do have to pay a fee. Like, there's a certain program you have to use and you have to, like, pay a fee, and it's just like, I didn't really want to do that. So that's why I chose to do it myself. You don't have to. If you're willing to put in some time to like figure out how NetGalley works, figure out how to join the program, and you're willing to pay a little bit of money, I think it's like $50, but it might have gotten raised. That was a couple of years ago that I checked the prices out of curiosity because I saw a video about it. But if you are willing to pay that just to kind of get the Night Gala experience, because there are pros and cons. There's this really great video by Bethany Adazada, again, like literally my favorite author tuber, where she did kind of an experiment with it. She tried it for the first time, and then she shared the results if she thought it was worth it. So go check that out if you're curious for more pros and cons about the platform in general. But I've heard that it's more like you get more exposure, but it's less successful with reviews, and it's just it's kind of mixed when it comes to like indie authors. So just take that with a grain of salt. If you're willing to put in the time and effort, I recommend doing it yourself, because you have more control over everything, and you could really limit and select who you reach out to. And also it's kind of just, you get to be more involved in the process. So I like that aspect, but it's up to you. Also, I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but I'm sure you guys can hear my voice. I'm like still sick. I mentioned this on a couple of my community posts this past week. I'm dealing with a really bad cold. I'm still sick. It's literally lasted for over a week. It is so sad. I'm pretty sure it's just a common cold, but it's lingering. Like literally everything else is fine, but the stupid like stuffy runny nose is literally lingering. So if I sound a little congested, a little nasally, I don't usually sound like this. It's because I'm sick, but I really needed and wanted to record this video, so bear with me, please, as I'm sure you could hear the whole video. But yeah, overall, they worked for me. They got a lot of people, a lot of people added to their TBR. Like right now, because there's an author dashboard on Goodreads, so I can see all of the inside stats. So right now, I believe there's 325 people that have added The Blood That Divides Us to their to read shelf on Goodreads, which is really good. And the majority of those, a lot of those have come from my YouTube channel, but the majority of those are from ARCs. So it depends what you're looking for. It depends what you're trying to accomplish, but it's an essential part of my publishing process and routine. So I did want to spend some time talking about that, because I think there's some advantages, there's some disadvantages, some struggles you'll face, all that good stuff. Anyway, I spent a long time talking about that, so I don't want to go too into detail on the next one. It does kind of go along with the very first thing I was talking about in this video, which is YouTube marketing. I want to circle back to YouTube for a second and talk about something I did that I tried that I actually am so happy I did. So let's flash back to October of 2024. Don't remember the exact day, I just remember it was October. I put out a post on my community tab, and some of you guys, if you're around for that long, thank you. That is crazy to think that there are some people who have been there since 4 or 5 months ago. But if you were here since October, you'll know I put up a post and I was like, hey guys, like I had this great idea. I'm thinking of doing a weekly teaser quote every Friday up until the book releases. The book comes out on a Saturday, so every Friday leading up to it, including the day right before, I'll post like a teaser quote of one of the characters, a different one every week. Would that be something you guys are interested in? Because I wouldn't want to do it and like share so much of my story and like kind of make myself vulnerable and put myself out there with sharing quotes every week, and also hold myself to that accountability of doing it every single Friday if no one was interested. Like, I didn't know, because up until that point, I'd been posting a lot of edits, not necessarily like sharing quotes. They're two completely different types of content. And so I was like, would you guys even be interested in something like this? And the amount of responses I got is insane. The amount of people who were like, yes, that were super excited and like this sounded amazing to them. Like they were on board. It was crazy. So I was like, dang, I guess these people want it. So I was like, okay, this is gonna become a thing. So I was gonna plan it out, then I got lazy, okay? So every week I did that. I remember on the post I said there's 17 Fridays until the book comes out. So 17, I never missed a week. There was one week, I believe, I forgot what it was, but there was one week where I was so low on motivation, I ended up posting the teaser quote video on Sunday instead of Friday. Oopsie. But I never missed a week. I never skipped a week. I did it the whole time. So there should be 17 videos. But I just kind of winged it. Like, I literally would make it like the day before, or sometimes even the day of, like literally right before I posted it, because I was so behind on content. And then it would always be on Fridays. It would always be a different quote. I'm pretty sure I never repeated a quote. I might have repeated a quote on like 2 different places, but every week was a unique quote. Every week's individual one was from a different point. It was from a different character. I didn't just do it from our main girl, Alyssa. I will admit, Alyssa had a lot of quotes, because she does. She's an iconic girl boss queen. We love her. We stan her. And she had a lot of quotes. Same with Mateo. If you know, you know, aka our male main character and our love interest. There's a lot of good quotes in here from him. A lot of them are really good, but I couldn't include them because they're spoilery, and that's another thing. I had to stay away from spoilery quotes because that was not the point. I was not trying to spoil anything. It was just to give a little taste to get people hooked, whether they were returning viewers on my channel who had been watching me for a while, just to get them even more intrigued and even more looking forward to the release, or people, like new people, who they'd just seen my video through their For You page. They were just scrolling and they came by it and they saw this quote. My hope was that it was good enough. It was a good enough quote. Sometimes it wasn't my character. Sometimes it wasn't dialogue. Sometimes it was just like maybe a little bit of description or just something that it would pull them in. It would make them like, ooh, wait, this is actually good. And then they would, you know, check out the other videos on my account, maybe follow me, add it to their TBR, like whatever. And it did. It actually brought a lot of new people in. It engaged and hooked the viewers I already had and the potential readers I already had. So it was very successful. It was something I enjoyed doing too, because it was like, what new quote am I gonna add this week? And honestly, toward the end, you'll see like the last few ones got a little weak. The last 2 I'm actually really proud of, but the last few got like a little weak for a while, because I was like, I'm running out of non-spoilery quotes. Like, what? Because I did not want to post the same ones, and I did not want to do spoilers. Those were like my 2 requirements. But I was like, this is really, really fun. It's fun to make, because then I'd always do like some sort of background. Sometimes it would tie in with the actual quote, sometimes it wouldn't, sometimes it was just random. And I'd pick like edit audios that like kind of go with the mood of it. And it was fun, like trying to look for the music to match, and it got people invested. It really worked, and it was like a very it was very annual, systematic thing. It was just kind of automatic. It was very like, because I settled on a Friday, it was very routine. So people knew, oh, it's Friday, she's posting a new teaser quote, and it became consistent, both for me, like it was a robot type of thing. I was just like, oh, it's Friday, I'm posting this. Like, I never once forgot. It never slipped my mind. Like, I always kept it on the front of my mind, because I started doing it for 17 Fridays, and my viewers who decided to stick around on my channel knew that every Friday was teaser quote Friday, and so they could expect a new quote, and they would get them even more invested and hooked. And it was just overall a successful experience. Like, it was something that didn't take as much time as arcs or anything, but got me just as many new readers and brought in ultimately as many sales, if not more. So just having like kind of, and I wouldn't recommend doing that the whole time. Like, I wouldn't recommend starting to give out those like teaser quotes while you're still writing, especially in like a very annual thing, like being like, every Tuesday I'm going to share a quote, meanwhile you're still writing the first draft. Just because with editing, your quotes change a lot, so you probably don't want to start promising certain quotes and then you're only on the first draft and then you edit. And books have a lot of drafts. The Blow That Divides us ended up going through about 9 drafts. So then you edit and then a lot of things change and then you're like, oh, this quote isn't in the book anymore. Sorry, guys. So basically, I started right around mid-October, so at that point, I was pretty much done with the story itself. I was just formatting and getting ready for ARC readers and doing like my final round of edits and proofreads. So nothing too dramatic was going to change, which is why I felt comfortable sharing quotes. But I would recommend just doing it like a couple weeks to a couple months before your release, just so you can kind of build the hype, build the anticipation and the suspense. I had so many people on my teaser quotes be like, "You're teasing me, like, I can't wait any longer." And I'm like, that's the point. That is actually why I'm doing this. So, you're welcome, guys. You are very welcome. But anyway, I think that wraps up that pretty well. Now moving on to the final thing I'd like to chat about, and that is, I'm pretty sure why all of you are here. Like, that's the most anticipated thing in this whole video, which is release stats and numbers. So overall, what are the numbers? How did this book do sales-wise? Because I spent the last, literally, I need to edit this down, but right now, raw footage, we are over an hour long. So basically for the last hour, I've been yapping and yapping about marketing tactics and strategies and what I've done prior to release to get the hype and the anticipation. But that all leads to sales, right? That's kind of my main goal at the end of the day. Obviously, I want to find new readers and I want people to like it, but like sales and numbers and how many people actually end up buying it out of the people I market to, out of my viral videos, out of arcs, out of all of that. Sales are like the end of the equation. That's what it all leads to. So what are the numbers? So stats wise, the most important thing that I need to preface, that I need to disclaim, is that I can't give like a totally accurate number because this book is in Kindle Unlimited. So in case you don't know how Kindle Unlimited works, I don't have it personally. That's like a bucket list thing I want to do. I want to get a Kindle Unlimited subscription. But basically, Kindle Unlimited, also known as KU, is Amazon's kind of book subscription. So essentially, from my understanding, you pay, I don't know how much it is, but you pay a certain amount, and it's a subscription. So you pay a one-time thing. You can get a free trial, but then you have to pay. And basically, once you're in, then you get access to millions of books. And it's not any book, but it's any book that's enrolled in KU, which at this point is like most books. Like nowadays, most books are available in Kindle Unlimited. And then basically, if you have a subscription and if you're like a Kindle Unlimited member, then you can read all of these books for free technically. And then you kind of like borrow them, so to speak. And so they're free to you just because like you have the subscription. So basically you pay a one-time thing and it gives you access to all these books. And so instead of having to buy it outright, you have the subscription and then you could try a book and you could read, let's say you read 80 pages and you're like, nah, this isn't for me. Then you just return it and you can move on to the next one. I chose, you could get a lot of new readers that way because new readers are more likely to want to take a chance on your book if it's enrolled in Kindle Unlimited. Because think about it, if they're already a KU member, technically they're not paying for your book. So if they don't like it, which is always a risk, it's like, your book's kind of expensive, like, I don't even know if I'm gonna like it, like, blah, blah, blah. But with Kindle Unlimited, they don't have that excuse because technically it's free for them. So if they don't like it, they just return it. They could literally read one page and be like, I don't like this. I don't like the writing style of this. It literally is at no expense to them whatsoever. So a lot of people who are involved in KU are more willing to be easily convinced and easily persuaded to check out your book if they have it and if it's enrolled on there, because it's basically no risk for them. So I decided, and really, like, for me as an author, it costs nothing to, like, enroll this in KU. I just had to click a button on my Amazon KDP dashboard, and it automatically goes in there. So I was like, why not? Like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? Like, what's to lose? If anything, I'm just gonna get new readers. So, anyway, this book is in KU. I think I've said that before. However, the way Kindle Unlimited works on the author's dashboard side of things is that there's something called Kindle normalized page reads. And what this is technically you can't see a number of people who borrow your book on Kindle Unlimited. It's not technically buying it. I don't think they use the term buying it, because for Kindle Unlimited, like, you're not buying it, they're borrowing it, because they can return it at any time with their subscription. So it doesn't tell you, like, on your KDP dashboard, it should tell you all of your sales, but it does not tell you how many people borrowed it through Kindle Unlimited. Instead, it tells you your Kindle normalized page reads, so it tells you how many pages you read. So for example, for me, my Kindle page reads are about at 5,600. So what that means is a total of 5,600 pages have been read on Kindle Unlimited for the book that divides us. Now, there are technically over 400 pages in this, but because it's like, I don't know, Kindle ebooks are weird. It formats it differently. So if you get it on Kindle Unlimited, it shows us like 500 plus pages. I don't know, because like the font is different on, I don't even know. It's confusing. It's out of my control. But basically, it's around 500 pages on Kindle Unlimited, because it's like a different font size. It condenses it down, but it's the same book and the same content. It just condenses it down, so it's more pages. So it goes by that. So basically, I cannot tell. It tells me which countries my page reads are from, which, cool, I guess. Yay. Like, I can't really do anything with that information other than just be like, oh, that's interesting. So I cannot tell with how many people read it through KU. I can just tell that 5,600 pages have been read. So what I have to do, and what I ended up doing, is I divided the exact number of page reads, which was like 5,600 something, by how many pages it is. And that ended up being about 13 Kindle Unlimited people. So that's just reading it all the way through, though. I don't know if all of those people actually read all the way through. They could have, some of those people could have only read like half of it and then DNF'd it. So then technically it would be more than that. So it's just a very, like, it's a very ambiguous thing. You cannot really tell. I'll never know exactly how many people bought it, but from what I can just kind of estimate, about 13 people have read it via Kindle Unlimited. So that's just an interesting statistic. Kind of sucks for an author, because you'll never really know. No one can really know, but you could just kind of estimate if you divide the total amount of page reads with how many pages it is. So I honestly, my total number of sales is very codependent on this variable, because it is very much a variable. It could change, and I really don't know. I'm just guessing here, so keep that in mind. But overall, total sales so far, about 2 weeks into release, we're at about 40 copies sold, 40, which, again, considering I'm a 15-year-old author who has been literally stressed out this past week with school and sick, and has not been marketing much this week, unfortunately, that is really, really, really good. Also, considering that I haven't really focused on telling people in my real life, like family and friends or classmates in my real life, about my book. I have been strictly marketing online. So for just doing that in the first 2 weeks, I'm very, very pleased with 40 copies. So that has been great. To break it down even more, like I said, 13 out of those 40, because I do count the Kindle Unlimited sales as total sales. It just makes sense, because it's sales nonetheless, and I still get paid. It's a different pay ratio, because I don't set the price for Kindle Unlimited, because there is no price. So it judges by page reads. So you get a certain amount of cents per page read, and then it adds up. But anyway, out of the 40 copies that I've sold, 13 of them, roughly, that's the estimate, have been sold on Kindle Unlimited. 11 have been sold as a paperback, at least that are on the dashboard. Also, a thing about Amazon, it will not track your paperback. You will not be able to see your paperback sale until it is shipped. So I know someone, and she just ordered the paperback copy, but it will not show up on my dashboard as an official sale until it ships, which y'all know Amazon. It could take a week for a book to ship. Like from when you place your order to when it actually ships. It could be a week. So I may not see that sale reflected on my dashboard for another week. So roughly as of right now, it should be a couple more, but roughly as of right now, 11 paperbacks and 16 ebooks have been sold so far. So obviously you can see ebooks are the leading dominator here. Most of my sales, it's neck and neck between KU and ebooks. I mean, KU literally, it is also an ebook, so I guess you could lump, if you wanted to, Kindle Unlimited and ebooks together, because they're both ebooks technically, if we're just comparing ebooks and paperback. But if we're talking about individual like ways that my copies have been sold and distributed, then it's neck and neck between ebooks and Kindle Unlimited, with paperback not trailing too far behind, to be honest. They're all over 10. So I just found that statistic very interesting, because I think going into this, I knew that ebooks were going to be the leading factor. I also knew that Kindle Unlimited was going to be big, but I did not think Kindle Unlimited was going to be bigger than paperbacks. If I'm being completely transparent, I didn't expect that. I don't know. I feel like a lot of people do like to hold the physical copy in their hands. I know I do. Well, okay, I did. The last year that I've gotten my Kindle, I have converted to a Kindle girly, so I'm sorry, paperbacks. I still love you. I'm actually reading a paperback book right now. Well, I'm rereading it. It's my favorite series. But ebooks have just taken the cake for me. Like ever since I got my Kindle last Christmas, I'm a whole new person, I swear. So I understand it, especially with paperbacks being so expensive nowadays. I mean, I talked about this in my last video, but like this is $13.99. because I make less than $2. So I'm sorry, I really am, but kind of have to price my books high, because thanks to certain things, inflation is real. It exists, and paper has gone up, meaning the cost of printing books has also gone up a lot. So I get that a lot of people, especially if they have a Kindle or if they prefer reading on their Kindle, they'd rather get an ebook than a paperback. Nonetheless, it's still surprising to me that paperbacks are my least sold format. Like I said, Kindle Unlimited tracks by page read. So the page reads, just as before I filmed this video, I was refreshing, and as I was refreshing, it kept going up. So that means someone, or maybe multiple people, are currently reading it in Kindle Unlimited right now. So after I record this video, like, it could change and I could get another sale. So it's just with Kindle Unlimited specifically, it's very, like I said, you don't know. Like, it's a guessing game of, like, assuming that everybody read it all the way through, which I don't know, because, you know, DNFs are a thing. I believe in DNFs. I think that deciding you don't like a book and then not finishing it, especially if you didn't pay for it, which is the beauty of Kindle Unlimited, like, that's good for you. Like, life is too short to be wasting time on books that you're not enjoying or that, you know, you don't vibe with. So who's to say that someone didn't stop reading this and then there's actually like 14 or 15 copies sold? I don't know. I can't tell. But there's at least 13. So that's been very interesting. And then to wrap this all up, how does those 40 copies with the Kindle Unlimited weird pricing that varies from regular ebook and paperback pricing, how does that compare? And like, what does that all translate to? So again, it's hard because Kindle Unlimited, the pricing is very weird. It's not like regular pricing, and it could change. So I don't know. At the moment, I've made roughly $100, a little less, but roughly around there. And again, it could change. They go Amazon. I'm not sure about Barnes & Noble specifically, but if we're talking about Amazon, so that includes the paperbacks on Amazon, the ebooks, and Kindle Unlimited, that all falls under the category, the umbrella of Amazon. They pay month by month. It's just, I'm a little confused because mine comes out on the 25th, so I don't really know what that means. What I do know, I was tracking things on my spreadsheet. Again, I'm a spreadsheet type of person, if you guys can tell. But between January 25th and February 1st, so within that, if they're going calendar month, that would be January 25th release day to February 1st. At that point, I'd made about $63. And then from February 1st until now, when I'm recording this, which is about a week into February, it was the remaining amount, so about like $40. So I don't know if when you get paid every month, it's by calendar month. So that means I would like, then it's like a couple months out. So then in a couple months, everything's delayed. So in a couple months, I get the $63 for the first 5 days of release, which is technically release week or at least week after release. And then the month later, I would get February sales, and everything from February thus far will be added later on. Or if it's like a full consecutive month, so in that case, it would be over $100 right then and there. I'm not exactly sure. I have to do more research on that, but that's just kind of some numbers. Like, I will comment market sometimes on Pinterest. So if you're on Pinterest and you've seen me, my account is the same. My handle is the same, at Marcelina, or at author Marcelina Lebu. If you see me marketing, I literally just do what's called comment marketing, which is if I see a good Pinterest with, like, let's say it's a Pinterest video of someone talking about how they love playlists and books, I'll throw in a little self-promo and I'll be like, oh my gosh, I do too. Actually, my book that just released, The Blood That Divides Us, also includes a playlist of over 50 songs in the beginning. For anyone interested, it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, KU. So I'll just plug little self-promos in the comments. And most people actually, and I do this on YouTube too, sometimes if I find videos or like if I find people talking about like Shannon and Johnny from the Boys of Tommen series, Binding 13, sometimes I'll be like, oh my gosh, like I adore this couple so much that I actually wrote a book kind of inspired by them and a couple that's kind of inspired by them. It's called The Blood That Divides Us. And more often than not, either the creators or people that are watching the video that are scrolling through the comments, a lot of times I've gotten so many people that are like, no way, I'm gonna check it out. And I've gotten a lot of sales from that too. Now that gets into more cold marketing versus warm marketing, which is a whole different topic in and of itself. But it's basically, cold marketing is exactly that. It's cold, you're distant, and it's essentially comment marketing. You're just going onto videos, you're going onto platforms and like somehow plugging in your book and being like, this just released, this is what it's called, this is where you can find it, blah blah blah. And then warm marketing is more when you are kind of warming up to your audience. You're kind of forming a friendship and a bond with your audience. So that would specifically being like me with my YouTube channel and all of you guys who are so incredibly sweet and supportive. And I've formed friendships with a lot of you guys, and you are all such a joy to talk to. So that would be more warm marketing, because like, and again, it goes back exactly, it circles back to what I was saying at the beginning, which is like when you market the entire time and when you kind of document the process start to finish of your book, people start to like you as a person. And even if they're maybe like, like your book sounds interesting, maybe it's not my exact genre, but oh my gosh, I've literally been so inspired by you. I've been following your journey for months. Like I've literally started following you since the very beginning, and now I've seen your book grow from an idea that you talked about on camera to an actual book. Like I'm invested in you. I'm gonna buy it just for you, to support you. And so like that's warm marketing, and that is very effective too. Like it's completely different styles, and obviously warm marketing takes more time, and then cold marketing is just kind of an automatic like self-promo kind of thing. Both can have equally desirable effects, and both could pay off in sales. It just depends what your goals are. Do you want to build a devoted circle, community, fandom, whatever word you want to use, like dedicated readers? Or are you just focused on getting the word out to as many people as possible, to like get as much exposure as possible? It kind of depends. For me, I wanted to make sure both, because both are very important to me. So I did both. And throughout the last 6 months, and especially now that it's out and I don't have to be like, it's coming out in January or pre-orders are out now, I could just literally say that it's out now. I've been focusing a lot on comment marketing, especially on Pinterest, because I really enjoy doing that actually. But I think it's just very effective. And no matter what route you choose, like they both have benefits and they both can lead to sales. So yeah. Anyway, I think that's going to wrap it up for today's video. As of raw footage, we are at 1 hour and 25 minutes and I'm still sick. And so my voice is still low-key dead. I think it's even more dead now. And I've been talking for almost an hour and a half after a whole day of school. Like, I'm filming this on a school day. I cannot close my water. Oh my gosh. I got home from school a couple hours ago, so I've been, like, talking all day at school. And then, yeah, so basically my throat's kind of dead now. So you can probably hear it. I'm sounding way sicker now than when I actually started this video. So I think it's a perfect time to end it. And I covered all of my talking points. I covered marketing, like YouTube marketing specifically, and that includes like quote teasers, cold marketing, warm marketing, how you can kind of incorporate all of those and how it helps with sales. I talked about cover reveal and pre-order arcs and went a little bit into release stats and numbers. So if any of you guys have any more questions about anything I covered, like if there's something that I brought up or that I mentioned that you want further clarification on, or you have other questions that are unrelated, please leave them in the comments. I always look through the comments. Lately, I've been really bad about responding to, oh my gosh, my book is upside down. I've been really bad about responding to them right away. So if you commented recently and usually I'll try to respond, like, I'm on my phone like all the time. I'm chronically online. So I usually see your comments right away and I'll respond to them. If it takes me a while to respond to them, that likely means I'm stressed and busy, which is like all the time nowadays. So apologize for that, but I do look through all the comments and I do respond to them as soon as possible. So I will respond to all of you, and just thank you so much for being here. Like, I say that every time. I say that in every video. I say that in every post, but I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, mean it. Thank you so much for being here, for being a part of my community. If you're one of the OGs that I've mentioned, thank you. If you are someone who has kind of recently joined to the community, thank you. Or if you're just someone who this video popped up on your For You page and you checked it out because you're curious, thank you for watching the whole thing because it's really long. And thank you for listening to me yap and ramble while sick. If you are curious, all the links to my book are down below. I think I'm covered, what it's about, where you can get it. I've also had a lot of people message me telling me how much they enjoyed it. So if you've read it, thank you, because the amount of positive feedback I've been receiving in the last 2 weeks has been overwhelming. Like, seriously, younger me would have never imagined this day. So y'all are making my dreams come true. Thank you. If you have already read it, please consider leaving a review, like on Goodreads or Amazon or something. Like I was just saying with ARCs, any review helps. Even if it's a 1-star review. You guys are entitled to your opinion. I completely respect that, and all reviews are good reviews. So I would appreciate it nonetheless. And if you haven't, I would also appreciate it if you could either add it to your TBR, if it's something you plan to read in the near future, or perhaps buy a copy. Anything supports me, and just honestly, even the silent viewers who maybe you'll never buy my book, but you watch my content and you eat it up, I love you guys too. Like, seriously, thank you guys too. So just anyone who's being here, you're making all my childhood dreams come true. And yeah, so I'll see you all on the next video. Also, if you have any, I want to do more sit down talking videos like this, like long videos. So if you have any video suggestions or things you want to see in future content, whether they're short videos or long videos, also comment those down below because I'm always open to suggestions. I try to keep things more focused to like marketing my book, but if you have any questions about publishing or writing or like this specifically, let me know. So hope you guys all have a wonderful day or night, and I'll see you next time. Bye!